What's this like to deal with, where you have guys actually having to be admitted to the hospital because they're so ill?
Yeah, and in Marcus's case, it was important to do it just to get him IV'd, and he just had a GI bug going around, and then Tyler's case, he's got a bad case of sinusitis. He's actually got a nose injury that's long ago, and has been sick on top of that and been dealing with it for two weeks now. And so he's really been he's had a tough week this week, and hopefully we'll get him back on the court soon. But it's one of those things. Hey, we played from December 2nd to the 25th. We had 2 nights of dinner in our own homes, and we never played in consecutive cities after we played 2 games in Boston at the end of November, early December. So we were on the road a ton. We've been traveling all over the place. Actually just got off of a 3 or 4 day break before we played Utah last night, and I thought we had a noticeable freshness about us that we did not have towards the end of December.
Some of the defensive numbers haven't been as good, ranked 18th by some metrics defensively. Did you see, was that because of fatigue, or was there something else that your team has been missing that you're able to tap into last night?
We were seventh, or excuse me, the first 7 games of the season we were horrible. I think we were 30th in the league by a landslide, and that's good when you're playing in college, because there's 347 teams, but when you're in the pros, there's only 30, so that's not a good ranking, obviously. The next 20 games, we were 3rd in the NBA defensively, and as we got health, we got a little bit better. We did slide towards the end of December, but I thought we played better last night than we played in a couple of weeks. So, hopefully we can keep building on what we need to do well. And, the one thing that I'll say about it is you're going to have some great defensive possessions that ends in makes, because there's such good players in this league. But, we've got to improve defensively if we want to ultimately be as good as we can be.
And that's been not just your calling card going back to Butler, where you guys were great defensively and super physical, but also, like, when you got to the NBA, you had said, hey, look, you got to be good at one thing. Our signature is going to be our defense, correct?
Yeah, and as I looked at, especially, as through moving to the NBA and studying the NBA even closer, one of the things is, especially as you're building a new group and a new group is coming together, is what stats or what things give you the best chance to win. And as we looked at it, transition defense is huge. Limiting your own turnovers is huge. And then ultimately how you defend in the half court. Those 3 were good predictors of, whether or not you're going to be playing after the regular season ends or not. And I think that that's something that we've tried to be good at. I think our transition defense has been decent all year. Our half court defense has gone up and down, and luckily we usually throw the ball to ourselves, which is a good thing.
Okay, I got to ask you about Isaiah Thomas. We've talked about him in the past, and I know he had some turnovers down the stretch of that Oklahoma City loss, and Russell Westbrook just did Russell Westbrook things that you talked about, good defense and just better offense. But 52 Friday night, and he did it on only 26 shots. And then last night only takes 18 shots, makes 10, and then drops 15 assists. How at 5'9" is he doing? Is he dominating the league over the last 2 or 3 weeks?
I thought one of the most remarkable parts about Friday was just the fact that it was the end of that long swing. We had played, basically we played at Miami the 18th, at Memphis the 20th, at Indiana 22nd, came home, played Oklahoma City, then went right to New York, played Christmas Day, just had a typical NBA grind, play Memphis at home, go to Cleveland the night before Miami. And so this is the end of like a stretch that is really tough, and you could see it kind of in the disposition of our guys as we all came to shoot around that day. And so for him to have that fourth quarter at the end of that stretch of games was incredible. He made some shots off of the pick and roll that got him going, off of the pull-up, and then our guys did a great job of finding him on some extra passes. And then had some actions that are, designed for him to make reads. And when he's in that groove, these guys, when they get in that groove, these guys are so good that they just make you stand over there and shake your head.
Brad Stevens, head coach of the Celtics, joining us in the Doug Gottlieb Show, CBS Sports Radio. Third best record in the NBA. Last night they took down the Utah Jazz 115-104. I know you can't talk about Gordon Hayward's future. He's another team's player. But he was cheered last night in Boston, and it became a story because of your player, Jay Crowder's reaction on social media. Let me just, your reaction as a Celtic head coach when your fans cheer for another team's player.
Oh, I don't even pay attention to any of that stuff, to be honest. I mean, I think at the end of the day, and I talked about this a little bit here, with our media, I was surprised to read what Jay said and the tweets because, Jay has been a great example of a guy that has come in and really embraced being a member of the Boston Celtics. And I think, and I've said this before, when we talk to our team about, playing together and playing the right way and playing hard, we do it under this, there's an expectation in this town that, you're going to play that way. It doesn't mean you're always going to be successful. But when a loose ball is there, you dive on it. When there's an opportunity to take a charge, you try to take it. And I think, Jay, with his play the past 2 years coming over from Dallas and kind of the chip on the shoulder that he and others have played with, have really endeared themselves here. And so, I was surprised to read that. And I talked to Jay this morning, and he was actually talking about how he wished he would obviously not expressed himself in that way. But, I think his, again, body of work speaks for itself. And I don't really pay attention to anything going on other than the things I can control, which is the next play and how we're going to play defense and how we're going to try to score.
But isn't that you mentioned the chip on the shoulder? I mean, Isaiah, chip on the. You have guys that have been either shunned elsewhere or they're too small. Or I mean, Marcus has kind of always played with that chip on his shoulder as well. So you don't want to get rid of that, and you almost want to tell fans look, this is why Jay is who he is because he hates everybody who doesn't play for his team. Fair?
And we love Jay for that mindset. And I think that, and again, I think, Celtic fans all agree with me. Everybody loves the way Jay plays. Everybody loves the way that he gets after it. And that's been a huge priority for us over the last few years. Again, as you're building and growing, one of the things that we talk about often, because we went through a lot of roster changes and personnel change after the Garnett Pierce Terry trade, and then I was hired, and then I think we had 42 guys or 40 guys come through over the course of 18 months, and ultimately it was, we wanted our guys that were in the building to be able to put their signature on everything that they did, and one of the things we really wanted to try to accomplish with the guys that we were bringing in were guys that had chips on their shoulders, because it creates a work environment that puts pressure on everybody to get a little bit better and to keep working at it. And I think that that's been a good thing for us.
You got the next couple nights off, then you got the Sixers. Everybody has said, hey, why don't the Celtics trade some of their guards for some of the Sixers bigs? Is it going to be awkward at all to be watching guys when those same fans will be like, we'll take him, you take him, while the game's going on?
Like you said earlier, I can't really talk about that stuff. But I think that, again, I don't pay attention to a lot of the outside noise because I think it's, there are so many more rumors than there are real things. And we really like our team. And, we haven't gotten a chance to thoroughly evaluate our team healthy because we haven't been healthy until about, mid-December. Since then, we've been a decent team, and hopefully we can keep growing and getting better because I think we can. And so I'm a lot more focused on the guys that are here. Obviously, we think, as we get ready for Philly and we play Philly on Friday, they've played really well in the last week, 1-2 straight, and they've got a lot of guys that are a handful, and we know that we're going to have to play well.